Welcome in, race fans and fans of No Toad Racing League, as we kick off another Sunday night with the ARCA cars here. This is the Redacted 150. Tonight's sponsor being SCP VRC. We'll make sense of that here in a moment. We will have a word with some of these, with the sponsors here. So that's always nice. We'll get some information out to you guys what that's all about. Real quick, though, want to correct some mistakes. Number one, I've been talking about playoffs all season long. This is not a playoff league. We will not have a playoff format. We are going straight to the end. Number two, apologies to Ileana. Talked to them this week. For the last couple of weeks, I've been calling them Ileana. And Hamilton got in the DMs and said, hey, it's Ileana. It's a cross between Illinois and Indiana. So apologies to Ileana and any fans of that driver. But hopefully we remember that as we start calling these races. We appreciate you guys tuning in here tonight, though. The early birds coming in, as you see in the Gatorade Victory Lane. Some guys sitting there hanging out now doing some burnouts. Now, back to the race sponsor. Again, it's long. SCP VRC. It is a SCP-inspired VR chat community of casual and serious role players who seek to provide an accessible yet balanced gateway into role-playing. Playing as your own mobile task force or researcher character, you will explore the frontier of various VRC or VR chat worlds and perform tasks on our premier site locations. Those who don't wish to go through the process to attend serious role-playing events are welcome to become a visitor and hang out with the community out of character or attend casual role-playing events when they occur. So, first and foremost, shout out to SCP VRC for hosting tonight's race here at the Legacy Michigan Speedway. Hosting these guys here tonight. Now, let's get into some interviews. We're going to pull a couple of drivers in here, including points leader Skylar Carnes. Of course, he's involved in here with this as well. So first and foremost, let's bring in Skylar. Skylar, before we bring in Cobes and the rest of the gang here, I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe explain it a little bit better than me, of course, and I'll be transparent with the guys at home. Just reading the description of it, Skylar, but you might be able to give a better definition exactly who is sponsoring tonight's race.
Sure. I know definitely for sure Cobes will be able to explain more about the foundation and give it to himself because he is one of the 05 members, but we are the SCP Foundation of VR Chat. We basically are an SCP roleplay-based group that function on VR Chat. We are officially recognized by VR Chat itself as one of the big groups there. And that's about basically all I can, represent. Yeah. I know. Well, I think we should get, Captain James and 05 Cobes in here.
Well, let's do that. And let's start with 05 Cobes here. Is Mike's muted for the moment? Cobes, you got a copy? If not, we can bring in Creeper, I believe is the Discord name, correct, Skylar?
Yeah, and he is Epsilon 11 Captain James.
All right, so Captain James, do you have a copy?
Howdy there.
Hey, first off, thanks for sponsoring tonight's race. I know it means a lot for the sim racing community, for other communities to get involved, whether it's a business or, just a sponsorship individually, but especially when we can involve other communities, just like the sim racing community is big. They support each other. I'm sure it's the same in your realm. So just a little bit, talk to us a little bit about what you guys do and what draws you into doing what you do.
All right. Cobes, you want to lead on that? All right. Well, our community, it's of course a good community, and we thank your community, of course, for supporting us in both ways. It is great. Also, I was just DM'd by Cobes that he might be missing permissions, so if maybe we could figure that out. But when
I
it comes
think
to our group,
I think we're okay. Cobes, can you talk now? If not, we'll pick right back up with Captain
Can you hear
James.
me?
Anyway, okay, so Cobes, we'll go to you in a second. James, we'll allow you to finish up. Go ahead and finish or pick up where you left off.
all right, thank you. So our community is really is based around the game VR Chat, which is a free to download platform that we utilize to make interactive experiences that is based around SCP lore. Although we do follow our own canon, but that just makes things more interesting. And as you previously stated, you can play as MTF, RO, and then we also have other supporting branches that just help make everything work together and make the machine turn good. Um, Cobes, you want to add anything?
Um, yeah, so if you're unfamiliar with how VR chat works, basically everything in there is player created. Um, so we so a lot of the stuff we do is completely original. So we can do like avatar creation or map creation, stuff like that. In uh the video game creation software called Unity. And so often we take a lot of inspiration from the stories from the SCP Wiki, but for the most part, all of our stories that we create is entirely original. And uh, we create these stories for people to play, and instead of reading about it as you would normally on the SCP Wiki. What's neat about what we're able to do because of VR Chat is we actually get to create it entirely, and instead of being a reader of the content or playing a video game, you're essentially you're in it, like you are the character in the story, which is really cool and extremely immersive and stuff like that.
Yeah, so
Um,
VR, of course, also being a part of sim racing as well. A lot of drivers feel the immersion. So I'm sure the same can be said about what you guys are doing. Instead of just reading something, you can be immersed into this idea, into this world, and really be involved with that. And as you said, everything being 100% created by you guys. So there's obviously a lot of customization, a lot of time, a lot of passion that goes into this sort of thing. Cobes, before I let you guys go, how can the people that are watching this who might be interested in it, who are involved with VR already and would like to branch out into something new, what's the best way and the easiest way to get involved with the VR chat?
so to get involved with our community, we have a Discord. It's discord.gg/scpvrc. It's all no spaces, all lowercase. Um, you can you can pretty much get involved with it the minute you join. We have different trainings and stuff like that we do throughout the week that players can attend, and then they can start learning how we do things. They get a special avatar to wear and stuff, and um, we and then on top of that, we do a bunch of other fun events here and there people can do.
Yeah, and of
Um,
course, as you know, a community and a group who are always trying to branch out and grow their numbers and make friendships, just like the people do in the sim racing world. What does it mean for you guys to be able to get involved with an entirely different community and not only sponsor the race, but get the logos out there, be able to have a chance to talk here tonight about what you guys love to do? As I'm sure, you know, we all call this kind of stuff a hobby, but it's much more than that, right? I mean, we dedicate our time
mhm.
and our lives into this kind of stuff. So it's got to be really exciting to be able to kind of cross over into a different realm, if you will, and be able to sponsor and support other people's hobbies like we are here tonight.
Right. Um, yeah, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really thankful for Skylar for helping set this whole thing up. Um, but I feel like both of us have very similar um themes in what we're doing here. Both of which are, we're essentially taking different hobbies from real life and putting them into a virtual world that other people can enjoy. So when I first heard about this and stuff, I thought that's super interesting. So I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad you guys came on board with this. That's going to be it right now. Only a few minutes before we go over the qualifying session. Cobes, Creeper, Skyler, we appreciate the time here tonight. I was happy to have you, and good job with the interviews. I'm going to send you guys back up to the TGH lobby one by one here.
Before you do, I just want to say I am supporting the SCP Foundation and one more with the scheme tonight. So look out for that 47 SCP VRC Foundation scheme.
Well, I'm sure we'll see plenty of it. Skyler, of course, leading the points in here tonight. We'll get into the points here momentarily. Skyler, thank you, and thank you for setting that up with these guys as well. I appreciate it when I have help like that on the back end. So that is Cobes and Creeper. Skyler, we appreciate you, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you at some point during the race, at the end or maybe in between. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, bud.
Alrighty, and of course, the pre-race coverage being brought to you by Precision Graphics. If you are a sim racer, particularly in the iRacing service, reach out to Precision Graphics on Facebook at Precision GRPX. The owner, Sean Runt, does all of my paints and all of my team paints. I own an Xfinity team, and I do sponsor short track racers in the late models and the super late models, etc. Sean Rutt over at Precision Graphics, my go-to. He does hero cards as well. If you'd like to get a screenshot or a picture of your car, he can make a really nice hero card for you guys. Use Faded TV with Precision Graphics for 10% off your next paint scheme or hero card. Again, that's Precision Graphics, Precision GRPX on Facebook. So shout out to new broadcast partner, Precision Graphics, as we continue to grow here. I will be on my own here tonight. Unfortunately, Trey not being able to jump into the booth with me here tonight. So we will one-man it. Hopefully, I can keep you guys entertained along the way. It's always so difficult trying to do these by yourself and be entertaining throughout the night. So we'll try not to have a whole lot of dead space on the broadcast here tonight, but I can't make any promises. Now, on to the race. As we go ahead and take a look at some of the times here in the SPC redacted 150. And it looks like so far, Johnny Brugg, a name known around No Toad Racing League, last season's champion in that one car, Turf Lord, with a 40.36 best. And that was perfect timing right there. You see the triple zeros on the clock. That means we're going to go into the 5-minute qualifying session. We'll see if Johnny Brugg can take that time into the qualifying for this pole position. It looks like Ileana at the time in practice was the second fastest driver. So we'll see. Things can change. You know, sometimes when you're in the practice session, you're catching the draft of a driver and you're tandem driving. So your times look really good in practice. But once you get out here on your own in the qualifying session, a lot of things can change. So let's get these cameras dialed in. Let's get TV1 posted up there. We'll hop on board with Michael McCuskey in the 22 AAA Chevrolet as he makes his qualifying session. Kendall Kerr, Ken Olsen, getting a little bit loose there. Out of turn 4. Now, I personally have not raced at Legacy, Michigan, so I will not have much track knowledge here. In fact, I had to buy Legacy, Michigan, iRacing. Should have just threw that to us, right? I mean, we paid for Michigan Speedway. Just give us the Legacy as a little bit of a bonus. Would you guys cut us some slack? iRacing.com, the official simulator of NASCAR. a really good, obviously a really good service. SDK iRacing Live Timing. Shout out to those guys at iRacing Live Timing. They do provide all the overlays for us here tonight, and they do a wonderful job making sure that we as broadcasters and announcers have everything that we need on race night. So shout out to those guys as well. Now, the majority of you guys watching this over on the No Toad Racing League YouTube, but we are also live on twitch.com at Faded TV. So we appreciate everybody joining this multi-stream, as you guys have done throughout the past few weeks or so. Let's dive into the points as we still have about 3 minutes to go here. Now that we know that there's no playoff system, it starts to get a little more interesting with the points. Some of these guys are really going to have to start opening up here and really start taking control of their own destiny here. Of course, we know Skylar Carnes is up top. We've talked about that throughout the weeks here. He has 245 points. He won, or Johnny won last week, if I remember correctly, at Bristol. It came down to him and Skylar Carnes on the last lap coming out of turn 4. There was some beating and banging going across the finish line, but if I remember correctly, it was Johnny Bruggs with that win, but Skylar still holding on to the total points advantage either way. He's got 16 bonus points. Again, 245. Behind him, Matthew Piracini. That was a lot closer last week than it is this week. Matthew really letting it all hang out there at Bristol. We had a awesome pre-race show about Matthew Piracini honoring his grandfather last week, and he most certainly left it all out there on the track. So shout out to Matthew Piracini. He's in second overall with 220. Now Johnny Brugg in third, 207 points. This is when it starts getting a little out of reach here. We only got about 4 or 5 weeks. So is it possible? Yeah, of course. Skylar could have some bad luck. He could have some DNFs. So Johnny Brugg, 207 points. Behind him, Marty Rogers with 184 in fifth. Up 2 spots this week is going to be John Campbell with 173. He's tied with Kendall Kerr for that 5th spot. Jason Benson up a spot with 167. Unfortunately, Alan Dixon slides down 2 spots to 166 overall points. John Crutchley up 4 spots. He's tied with Ileana with 160, who, by the way, they move up a spot as well. Another driver in the green in the points standings is Kashishian. He's up 5 spots with 160. So he's actually, they're all tied for 9th. John Crutchley, Ileana, and I don't want to butcher this first name, but I'm going to say Misak Kashishian. I do apologize if that is nowhere close, but that is your top 10 drivers as far as the points go. Now, 25 seconds left here in the qualifying. You guys see the times there on the NASCAR tower. I have yet to see, so let's take a look. Alan Dixon up there in that first spot with a 40.38, which almost mimics the exact same time Johnny Brugg had in practice. I think Brugg had a 40.39, if I'm not mistaken. Points leader, Skylar Carnes. He's going to be sharing the front row with Slider with a 40.42. Johnny Brugg on the inside of row 3 with 40.47. We'll go over the grid here when these guys get loaded up into the pit. Let's change the time to the laps. So it's going to be 75 laps here at Michigan. We'll see if the grid is ready to go. It is. Now, we ended up with Johnny Brugg. In 4th place is going to be Kyle Gretsch. John Creedler in 5th. Sid Kashishian, they're in 6th. Now, that makes it a little bit easier there, so I suppose I could call Kashishian Sid from here on out. Ileana Hamilton. So a lot of these drivers that we talked about moving up in the points, having continued success here tonight. Ignore that Pepsi 250 on the bottom of the grid. For whatever reason, I've deleted it a dozen times. It will not go away. This is, of course, the redacted 150, so I apologize for that. David Rhodes going to be in 8th. Kendall Kerr 9th. Marty Rogers in 10th. Matt Piracini 2nd overall in points. The Canadian going to be finding himself outside the top 10. Gary Sargent, of course, a.k.a. Sarge, owner here at No Toads Racing League, going to be there in that 12th spot. Justin Malarkey, Michael McCuskey, Al Corey. Al Corey, big shout out to him. He takes care of a lot of things on the production end for myself and for No Toad Racing League. He gets all the graphics ready. He does those awesome intro videos for everybody at the beginning of these streams. So shout out to Al Corey. He's going to be starting 15th tonight. John Campbell, Jason Benson, Joe Tucci, Dustin Barton, and John Barton. That's going to be your top 20 starting here tonight. Alrighty, Alan Dixon in that 33 Coca-Cola car there. You see Skylar Carnes. He did talk about it a little bit before we went off that interview there. He's rocking that special paint scheme, the SCP VR chat paint scheme tonight. So shout out to Skylar. Of course, being involved in that community, but still, you know, bringing the paint scheme to tonight's race. Really cool deal there. So Alan Dixon up front. I don't think we've seen him in a pole position all season long. So this is a little bit different for Alan Dixon. Of course, been sim racing for a very long time. We talked to him at the beginning of this season. He tested iRacing back in the day in 2007 for the devs. He certainly knows his way around this sim. So it's good to see Alan Dixon up there kind of bouncing back a little bit. He's had a couple of rough weeks here getting involved in some wrecks. He was in more than a few of them at Bristol. So he's most certainly looking to bounce back at Michigan Speedway. This is the legacy version of the track. You see Johnny Bruggs there on the inside, Kyle Gretsch on the outside of row 2, and it looks like we are going to get to some green flag racing this time around. It's going to be Alan Dixon and Skylar Carnes up front. And I apologize, one thing that we have to do here, I know we're going to miss the beginning of this race, but if I don't do it, we're not going to hear the beginning of this race. My apologies. Boom, there we go. So a drag race down into turn 1. It looks like Skylar Carnes on the outside is going to win that race between himself and Alan Dixon. Alan getting a little bit loose there, high side. That's going to allow Johnny Bruggs to come out of the inside and Kyle Gretsch to make the pass out of the inside. So Slider, after starting pole position, actually falling down to 6th as he continues to lose positions here in the first lap. So Skylar Carnes, Johnny Brugg, your new 1 and 2. So on lap 2 of 75, it's Skylar Carnes leading the race. Justin Malarkey early on, up 4 spots. Now, we called him a lot at Bristol. He had a really good run going last week before he himself got wrapped up and involved in some messes there. Bristol was a really good race. Yeah, it was high caution, but it was short track racing with the ARCA cars. I think these drivers did a fine job last week at Bristol, and man, did we get an ending to that race between Johnny Brugg and Skylar Carnes. Up 7 spots, Jaden Constert in that 8 Chevrolet, up 7 spots already. He's up to 18th right now as he rocks that Budweiser DEI Dale Earnhardt Jr. throwback each and every week. Up 8 spots now into 17th, having a really good start to this race here. Almost picking up double digits throughout the field here on just lap 3. Al Corey up 2 spots. Heavily involved in this league. We talked about it before we went green. If it wasn't for Al, I don't know where our logos would be. I can't tell you how much I appreciate Al Corey and everything that he does on a week-to-week basis. Not just for the league, but for myself. Joe Tucci up 3 spots. He's in 14th. Coming out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. Looking on the inside of Michael McCuskey. And here comes Sarge on the outside. This is a battle for 14th right now. You see the 28 car of Sarge, the Jacksonville Jaguar, doing it for Trevor Lawrence here tonight. Somebody's got to. There's going to be contact between Sarge and the 94 car. And the 94 goes around. That's going to be our first caution. It looks like maybe the 94 thought that he had the space to check up on him. Unfortunately, he did not. We're going to go ahead, and I think if we can get a good replay of that, nobody's in the red, so we're just going to kind of have to do this the old-fashioned way. Let's go ahead. We'll stick with the 94 car. Let's grab a chase cam, and then let's go back to when, see if we can catch it right here. Yep. So the 94 car just coming up a little bit high there. Oh, you see the 8 car getting involved in that as well. So that is unfortunate for a couple of these drivers here. Oh, you see just the contact there. Doesn't seem like much contact, but these ARCA cars, they're very sensitive. It doesn't take much. You see the bumper, the car parts flying everywhere. It's very easy to lose car parts and wheels and all that stuff here in the ARCA cars. So unfortunately, early on here, Sarge, who was on the move just a little bit, getting in contact with the 94 car of Joe Tucci. So those guys going to have to come down pit road, along with, it looks like, John Crutchley here now in pit road as well. I didn't really see him involved in anything, so I'm kind of surprised he's coming down pit road, but nonetheless, there he is. See if we can get a good shot of Skylar Carnes and his paint scheme here tonight. There you see it right there, the SCP VRC logo right there on the hood. So it seems like they have a really cool thing going on there. I have a buddy of mine that plays a lot of things in VR. He loves VR. But it seems like what these guys got going on is very in-depth, very unique. And if I could do anything in VR without getting a headache, I too might enjoy something like that. But unfortunately, VR is just not for me. So getting a caution out early here. I don't expect we will see many cautions here. That was just a racing incident. I'm sure the 94, again, probably thought he was clear. And I think I talked about this at Atlanta. A lot of these drivers, and we might see it here tonight a couple of more times, I don't know. But a lot of these drivers, they get that inside line, and through the corner, they're sitting really good. They get a lot of momentum on corner entry. And I just don't think that they expect the outside line to get such a surge like what we saw with Sarge there. So I'm sure the 94 car coming off that corner exit just figured, hey, I got such a good run here. I'm most certainly going to be able to clear Sarge. But unfortunately, that outside line, again, carries all that momentum on a track like this. And there Sarge was. And it was just enough to kiss bumpers there and send those cars down onto the infield. Of course, the 94 getting really beat up. We saw that in the replay, losing his bumper. It looked like he had some suspension damage as well, so he had to come down pit road, get a quick repair. He's going to be just fine, at least for now. Nothing's changed. 1-2, Skylar Carnes, Johnny Brugg. Skylar's going to be on the inside on this restart. Now, Kendall Kerr, really big mover right now. He's going to be on the inside of row 2, sitting there in third. He's up 6 spots. Ileana Hamilton in third. Or, excuse me, in fourth, up 3 spots. Sorry, I saw the 3. Matt Piracini, another driver on the move right now. Qualified 11th. He is now up to 5th. So 6 spots for that 24 Chevrolet. The guy sitting in second overall standings. Ken Olsen, though, Ken Olsen, James Lawson, 9th and 11th. Both these guys, Ken up 15 spots, Olsen up 16 spots. So these guys right now are biggest movers early on. You see Wayne Hayes in the middle of that in the genuine draft throwback. So some of these guys on the move, that caution paying dividends for a couple of these. And of course, where people move up, some people fall back. It looks like Sarge overall going to lose 15 spots. He's going to be on the tail end of this thing when we go back to green flag. So he's going to drop all the way back to 27th, back there with John Crutchley. So pace car off. It's going to be between Skylar Carnes and Johnny Bruggs here on the front stretch. Green flag waves. Skylar in the 47, Johnny Bruggs on the outside in the 1 car. Down into turn 1, still side by side. Who's got the advantage right now? It's the 47. You see, looked like he might have pushed Johnny up the track a little bit. If that is what he did. Johnny, though, skipping a little bit. He's going to have to get that fixed or he will receive an EOL. Looks like he's fine now. Nope, still blinking there. Now, other drivers will call that out. Let him know that he is blinking. If it does persist, he will most certainly take an EOL, which just means end of line. He'll have to go to the back of the furthest line. So something to keep an eye on. Of course, on our screen now, he looks good. So it might just have been a little bit of a blip in his connection. And right now, the only skipping he's doing is onto the back bumper of the 47 car of Skylar Carnes. This is for first place here. You see him right there on the back bumper. Behind them, Kendall Kerr, Ileana Hamilton, again in 4th. Matt Piercini still holding on to that 5th spot. Behind him, John Creedler, Al Corey up 8 spots in the 45 car. He's sitting in 7th. David Rhodes is in 8th. That's where he started, so very consistent out of the 21 car right now. Justin Malarkey in the 97 car, up 4 spots inside the top 10 here early on in 9th. Ken Olsen, we talked about, up those spots, up 14. He is in 10th, and Jaden Consturk, again, another driver, up 14 spots early on in the race as he goes onto that inside line. He's currently gatekeeping that 10th spot. He has Kyle Gretsch, Marty Rogers, Kevin Hansen, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Oh, and I thought we were going to go 3 wide there just for the moment. I think the 8 car losing a little bit of momentum there. He actually checked up and got behind the 51 car of Ken Olsen, so that's going to prevent some 3 wide action. But you see, as this race persists, it's definitely potential. Very wide track here. It looks like these drivers can really run any line that they prefer. If they want a bottom feed on that white line, they can. Or if they want to race up against the wall in the high side, they can as well. So that's really going to open up the track and make for some really good racing, not only for the drivers, but for you guys that are watching this broadcast at home. We should see plenty of side-by-side racing, especially once these tires start to wear. Back up top, Skylar Carnes still leading. Johnny Brugg, that's the race for first. Ileana Hamilton still 3rd. Kendall Kerr still 4th. Back here in 15th, Dustin Barton and Wayne Hayes. Shout out to Wayne Hayes. Struggled at Laguna Seca. Of course, he never claimed to be a road course ringer. He was out there, I think, just having a good time. Shout out to him for that Laguna Seca run. I think a lot of guys would have just backed out of the session. He stayed all the way through to the checkered flag. A little bit of a struggle at Bristol as well, getting involved in a couple of wrecks, but again, stayed there till the end. He's having a fine race here at Michigan at the SCP redacted 150 here on lap 113. He finds himself up 9 spots in 14th. Sid Kashishian down 10 spots after that caution. Maybe a little bit of a struggle out of this 19 car. Certainly trying to find their way back to where they started. They started P6, currently in 16th. Behind him, Kevin Hansen in the 04 Snap-on Impala SS, up 5 spots into 17th. Sarge, overall down 6 spots, but of course involved in that wreck. He got that EOL, started 26. He has now found himself 8 spots since we took that restart. He is in 18th, so that 28 car of Sarge trying to make his way back up to at least where he started in that 12th position. He's got John Barton and Jason Benson racing around him behind them. Jason Benson right there in that 20th position. Joe Tucci behind him. John Campbell, Will Jesser, John Crutchley. It looks like our pole sitter for the race, Alan Dixon, jumped to the pits. I'm not too sure. Did he drive in there himself? Looks like he got into the wall. Let's do some iRacing rewind and see just what happened with Slider here. Let's go ahead and hit play. Just coming up a little bit too high. You hear the impact there. A little bit of a wall ride for Dixon, trying to get off of the wall. Fortunately for him, pit road's there, but he does come down. You see the smoke. He does lock up his brakes. That might have been a speeding penalty. So he jumps to the pits. He's going to take the tow on that one. So not a great start for our pole sitter, Alan Dixon. A great start for points leader, Skylar Carnes, who continues to lead the race. But right now, as I'm looking through the best lap so far of the race, it's actually Kendall Kerr back here in third with a 40.80. I think that is the fastest time of the night in the live race so far. To put that into perspective, Skylar Carnes' fastest lap, a 40.93, and Johnny Brug's fastest lap, a 40.92. So Kendall flying around this track there in third, trying to catch up to the bumper of Johnny Brug. He's got Ileana Hamilton behind him. These guys need to link up, help each other out, try to get to the front, because right now, Ileana, is a second off Skylar Carnes right now, so certainly not out of reach. You see it right there. That's a good view. Skylar and Johnny certainly not out of reach of Kendall and Ileana. We'll see. Right now, the best thing that they can do is race single file and let these guys continue to race side by side, as it looked like Johnny Brug was about to get a run on that outside. Skylar, though, said not right now. Maybe later. But here comes Johnny. You see him poking his head on the inside there. Can he get on the corner panel? Coming down into turn 3. He's got the corner panel. We'll see. You guys will see what I'm talking about, though. This one car of Johnny Brug's, it looks like he's going to have the momentum through the turn. Now watch the 47 car on corner exit. Oh, Skylar, don't do me dirty like that. Oh. Well, in a perfect world, I would have said that, and Skylar would have reclaimed the position on the outside. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But, I mean, Johnny Brug, hey, he knows what he's doing behind the wheel. So he is going to claim that top spot. So things are heating up here between those two drivers. I almost don't want to go away. And here comes Kendall Kerr now onto the inside. Can he get a run as these guys battle it out for first? There's Skylar on the inside of Johnny Brug, imitating Brug's move from a couple of laps ago. Out of turn 2, onto the backstretch. Who's got the momentum? It looks like the 47 car. He needs to check up. He does. He gets in front of the one car. Here's Kendall Kerr in third. And this is what he needs. He needs these guys to go side by side, battle it out, slow each other down a little bit, because right now, single file, Kendall can keep pace. I mean, right now, he's about a half a second behind race leader Skylar Carnes, but he most certainly wants to see these guys start duking it out. To try to take advantage of that and try to sneak up and get this top spot. Skylar still working to the inside there, coming into turn 1. You see on the track map here, these guys mostly still tight together, but there's a couple of gaps there between the field. And it looks like right now, these guys are just going to go back and forth on this inside line. Of course, they being Skylar Carnes and Johnny Brug. Johnny now attempt number 2 on the inside of Skylar Carnes. And Kendall waiting and waiting and waiting. Oh, those two cars touch right there, Johnny Brug and Skylar Carnes. We might go 3 wide here down into turn 1. There's the 30 of Kendall Kerr trying to get a run onto the inside of the one car. Not going to happen this time around as they come out of turn 2 onto the backstretch, but that's what Kendall wants right there, as he's been able to take a half second off with these two fighting for first. The 30 car now throws his name into the hat as he's on the bumper of Skyler, running that mid to high line right there. You see Skyler actually coming down a little bit, bottom feeding through turn 3, and I think Skyler might be coming down to pit road. And yes, that's exactly what's going on. Skyler coming down pit road. Not too sure what happened there. We saw the teammates collide, Skyler and Johnny Brugg. I don't think it was enough to really cause any damage out of the 47 car, but of course, we're not in that car. We don't know what's going on with him, but on lap 23, he's going to come down pit road. He could be thinking to himself, I'm going to have to come down pit road anyways. If we are just going to sit here and trade positions, I'm going to come down and short pit, get some tires, and head back out there onto the track. And yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So these guys, it looks like on lap 23, the pit window is opening up, and trouble for the 72. That's Ileana Hamilton struggling to get down into pit road. But that's what happened. I think Skyler said, hey, look, if we're just going to sit here and continue to swap places and wear out our tires even more, I'm just going to shoot down pit road. So that's what Skyler does. And we saw, or we see, a lot of the cars on the lead lap follow suit. So the number 30 car of Kendall Kerr now does achieve that top spot by default. Of course, Skyler and Johnny coming down pit road. So the 30 car now has a choice to make. Does he stay out and try to get as much ground as he can, or does he come down pit road? That answers our question. Back to Justin Malarkey in the 97 car. He's going to be next man up as he does officially make the pass to Kendall Kerr. He's going to take over this race. Kyle Gretsch as well decides to stay out, as I see a lot of people, Matt Piercini, Al Corey, David Rhodes, all deciding to come down pit road here on lap 25. So that's something to keep our eye on as we get closer to midway of this race. Skyler coming down on lap 23. The majority of the other drivers coming in on lap 25, and a handful of drivers staying out. They're going to be pitting 26, 27, maybe even 28. So when we get to that 50 mark, we're going to start looking to see another shuffle of green flag pit stops, and just how much that's going to come into play here as this race progresses, especially if we stay under green flag conditions. Now, if we get a caution, lap 45, lap 50, of course, that's going to open the door for all these drivers to come down under caution. Justin Malarkey still staying out. That's the 97 car, but right now he's battling it. He's battling cars that have come down pit road. So you see the purple and black car, the 72, coming down on the inside of 97. This is not for position. Justin Malarkey going to continue to be the race leader, but what that tells me is it might be time for Justin to come down. There's no point of fighting these cars who have fresh tires. They're going to continue to get their lap back on them. You see Ileana Hamilton doing that right now in that 19th position. It's not until we get to that 21st spot with Al Corey in the 45 that we start reaching those lapped down cars. So the 97 is going to have to think about coming down pit road, because there's no point of staying out. You got all these drivers who have come down pit road. They have fresh tires. They're going to keep gaining time. There's no sense of going out there to try to stretch your lead, because right now you're not stretching your lead. So we'll see just how long Justin Malarkey does decide to stay out. I would think this lap would be his lap to come down, but we'll see. He might push it. A lot of drivers in this situation, as long as he's got the fuel and he feels like he can hold on to the car as it tightens up, as the tires start to wear, he might be thinking to himself, hey, maybe I'll get a caution. A lot of guys coming off the track, coming down into pit road. Maybe I can grab my yellow, come down under caution for tires and fuels, and still come out with good track position. Only the 97 car of Justin Malarkey knows what he's thinking and can make that decision. Behind him, Kyle Gretsch in the 7, still maintaining that P2. Marty Rogers finds himself in the Pennzoil 27 machine, up to 3rd. Sid Kashishian in 4th. Dustin Barton 5th. In the Hot Wheels, now look at that paint scheme. That is awesome. Bringing back some childhood memories for me there. Everybody had Hot Wheels back in the day, and still do. Or at least some form of Hot Wheels. I think the older you get, the bigger they get, right? A lot of guys going from the small Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars to the bigger scale die-cast cars of their favorite car. I do know some sim racers that actually have their sim racing car with their sponsors made into a diecast version. Justin Malarkey still out there turning laps. So we've seen, again, we saw Carnes come as early as lap 23. And again, I think if Carnes was out there by himself, or maybe if he wasn't racing Johnny Bruggs, he had a second lead or whatever on the second place car, Carnes might have stayed out a little bit longer. But you have to go back to the battle that those two drivers had. I think Skyler just said, I'm not doing that. I'm going to come down pit road. I'm going to get a little bit of space. We'll see how it plays out under green flag conditions. So, and that's what Justin's doing right now too, right? I mean, Kyle Gretsch is 4 seconds behind Malarkey. He's up here now. He's coming down pit road here on lap 30. So it looks like that's really when our pit window is going to close, is on lap 30. Maybe he could have gone another lap. Doesn't matter. But I think that's why Justin stayed out as long as he did. He really wasn't racing anybody. He was up there in some clean air. He didn't have to worry about lap traffic as much. So he went as long as his fuel allowed him to. You see the 22 car now. Oh, and it looks like Justin missing his pit box. It's small things like that, ladies and gentlemen, on these green flag pit stops that can absolutely destroy your race. You see Sarge there in the 28 car. We'll get back up to the leaders right now, but that is going to fluctuate and shuffle in and out as some of these drivers leaving pit road, still coming down pit road. So we'll catch back up with the lead pack here in a moment. Let's stick with the race off of pit road here. You see the iRacing safety vehicle, a pace car there. He's just chilling, probably watching TikTok. John Campbell, who was the race leader, is now making his way down pit road. So that's why I didn't want to shuffle immediately up to the leader of the race, but now we can. The green flag pit stops, it looks like, are coming to an end. Johnny Brugg in the Turf Lords #1 car is the race leader. You see Skyler Carnes and Kendall Kern now side by side for second place out of turn number 2 onto the backstretch. Advantage, Kendall Kern. And down into turn 3, it looks like Kendall is going to keep enjoying that middle line right there. It looks like he did come down just a little bit. I'm not too sure if that was to cut any kind of momentum that Skyler might have gotten. Skyler took a little bit of a lower line than the 30 car, or if he's just out there enjoying all that grip on fresh tires and running any line that he wants to there. So a good run by Kendall Kerr right now. He was running third for a really long time, for about 25 laps. He now finds himself in P2 as he now has his eyes set on race leader Johnny Brugg, lap 33 of 75 here at the SCP Redacted 150. You guys are watching this live over on YouTube at No Toad Racing League and twitch.com/FadedTV. Check back in with Sarge there in that Jacksonville Jaguar 28 car. He was involved in our first and only caution so far of the night. He took that EOL, went all the way back to 26. After these pit stops, he's up to 15th. Jaden Consturk, we talked about, had a huge run at one point in time. I think he had found himself up 15 spots from his qualifying session. He's now up 12 spots, falls back down to 13th. Now, you see on the track map there, a lot of people ask, why do you keep the track map up there? It doesn't do anything for us. Well, I like to include the viewers in as much of the race as I can. And right now, this is a good view of just how spread out these cars are and why that's important. These guys are mostly running spread out. They're mostly single file. We might have some racing for positions up front, maybe in the middle of the pack. But why that is important is on lap 35 here, you see the room that these drivers have on the track. I think this is a pretty good sign that this is going to go green all the way through. Maybe a late race caution, people battling for that final spot. But I think we're going to get a lot more green flags, and I think we're going to see another green flag pit stop. You see the 66 car there. Going up high, he's a lap down, so he was just letting Jaden Conster down, but unfortunately, in doing so, catches a little bit of that wall. So yeah, you want to go up high. You want these drivers to have a nice, clean line to pass, and you don't want to ruin anybody's race when you're a lap down. But you got to be careful. You got to take care of yourself too. And here's the fight for first. And the 30 car of Kendall Kerr. Get a line going. Get some momentum. He separated himself from Skylar Carnes. Skylar in third, back by about a second and a quarter. 1.25 almost. Now it looks like 1.3. So Skylar falling off pace just a little bit. Nothing to be worried about. If you're part of that 47 camp, he's going to do just fine. Also, and more importantly, Skylar may be falling off because he's saving tires. That's going to be important here. Kendall Kerr on the inside of the one car. This has been his best shot to take over the race lead. Can he capitalize? Down onto the inside. No, he cannot. Johnny going to shut that off. The 30 car of Kendall having to check back up. Gets back single file with Johnny Brugg. So not yet. Johnny, though, looks like got a little bit loose there. He's going to lose some time. You saw that rear end just slide up just a little bit. I think that's going to be enough for Kendall Kerr to take this lead. Now we'll see. Door to door, side by side, coming out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. Kendall Kerr almost making contact with Johnny Brugg. That could have been dangerous right there. And now Johnny, he's got a decision to make. Does he continue to fight hard with Kendall Kerr, or does he give up the spot? Try to save some tires. Think long game here. You see Johnny off of turn 2 out of the backstretch there. Not able to get a look on the inside of Kendall Kerr. Still plenty of racing left. We're coming up on almost 35 laps of racing still to go here. So you certainly don't want to burn up your tires trying to chase down Kendall Kerr, especially, I think, seeing Skylar back there in the relative, I want to say so far behind. He's really not, right? But, I mean, he's not right up there on the bumper. He's not side by side with Johnny like what we saw on the first run before the pit stops, but enough to where I think Johnny can sit there and say, hey, I think Skylar, he's starting to save tires. Do I really want to battle it out with Kendall Kerr, or am I just going to let him go? And we saw Johnny just let the 30 car of Kendall Kerr take that lead. Now back behind these guys, Matthew Piracini in the 24 car, up 7 spots into 4th. Again, second in the point standings. He's got a little bit of work to do. After Bristol, he kind of lost some points to Skylar. And, of course, you can't help what Skylar's doing. You can only take care of what you can take care of. So Matt back there in 4th, trying to make a run up to the front. You see John behind him in the 99 car. These guys working well together. Ileana Hamilton back in 6th. Al Corey in the Canada Tire Chevrolet. 8 spots he's gained. Up into 7th. Justin Malarkey up 5 spots. After leading the race for about 10 laps or so, coming down pit road under green flag conditions. Unfortunately, Kevin Hansen, James Lawson, Alan Dixon, all drivers that are a lap or so down. In fact, I think Alan Dixon out of the race. So that's unfortunate for him. Up front, though, we missed the lead change between Johnny Brugg and Kendall Kerr, and I don't know if Bruggs threw on some NOS or what, but not only does he make the pass, but now he's up a half a second on Kendall Kerr, and you have to wonder, did Kendall Kerr burn up his tires trying to make that pass with Johnny Bruggs? Because now Skylar Carr Carnes in the 47 on the inside of the 30. So I think that's exactly what happened. You see Kendall way up there, almost touching the wall there. So I would have to assume Johnny let up a little bit. He saved tires for a couple of laps. Kendall used all of his just trying to make the pass on a Johnny Brugg. And unfortunately, you can see the 30 machine of Kendall Kerr dropping back to third. Kendall moving up to second. And Johnny Bruggs back in control of this race. Lap 43 of 75. We'll see if Skyler comes down a little bit earlier like he did last time. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So on lap 44. So he pitted on lap 22. And now 22 laps later, here on lap 44, he's going to come down pit road again. So Skyler certainly on this strategy, trying to come down before all these other drivers have. We'll see if it pays off towards the end of this race. Now, we saw last time Johnny Bruggs, he stayed out an extra lap over Skyler, but then came right in. It worked for him the last time. As you see, he did regain that lead as he's in first place right now. We'll see if Johnny Bruggs does that again. If he comes down just one lap after Skyler, it does not appear he is. He's going to stay out again. And Kendall Kerr also staying out, but Kendall falling way off pace. I mean, he's almost 2 seconds behind Johnny Bruggs. He's going to have to come down pit road sooner rather than later and get some tires. We'll see how this second round of green flag pit stops plays out. Johnny was in first place on the first green flag pit stops. He's first now. He's yet to come down pit road. We'll see if it plays out the same way for him. Again, Kendall Kerr, though, he's back there now almost 2.5 seconds. If I'm that 30 car, I'm thinking about biting the bullet and coming down pit road, as we do see other lead lap drivers come down. John, Ileana Hamilton, both deciding to come down. Skyler, of course, falling back to 22nd, right? But that's no concern of his. He knows all of these cars in front of him, and we see a handful right now looking like they're going to come down pit lane. So he knows he's about to grab a chunk of these positions back. Yep, there's the two cars. And I think, is Johnny Brugg a part of that? Yes, he is. So Johnny Brugg coming down pit road came down as the race leader. It looks like Kendall Kerr deciding to stay out. And if I was Kendall, I think I would really try to come down when Johnny does, because now, however many laps Kendall Kerr stays out, Johnny Brugg's going to have that advantage. Now, we're still going to have 30 laps of racing, give or take, obviously, right? But we may see one more pit stop out of these guys, which is why Skyler is continuing to come down on those 22 laps of green flag, because he knows, hey, there's a good possibility I'm going to have to come down on lap 66, 65, and come down for a splash of fuel, get some tires. Maybe he'll only take 2, like he did on Thursday when he beat me at Nashville Fairgrounds in the ARCA League that we raced together. Sneaky, sneaky. Johnny Brugg's going to come out of that unharmed, back in 17th. Matt Piercini coming down. Now coming off. Al Corey we see down pit road right there. So both those drivers are coming off. And that's, you're not going to catch a huge draft here at Michigan. But it is nice to come down pit road and leave pit road with somebody else. So you're not out there by yourself. You have a rabbit car. You can chase somebody. Or if you're in the front, you can work with each other. And even though the draft isn't huge, it's just nice to have somebody come off pit road with you and be able to work together through these green flag pit stops. Our second of the night. And again, probably going to have a third. And that brings us right back to where we were about 25 laps ago or so. And that's the 97 car of Justin Malarkey in first place. And again, I think he stayed out there a little bit too long. We'll see if he shortens it up, or we'll see if Malarkey is going to stay out and make this his last pit stop. If his fuel allows him to stay out there with 22, 21, 20 laps to go, then he may be able to stay out there until the checkered flag. Of course, all this pit strategy changes if we have a late race caution. It's not going to really affect guys like Skyler, who's came down early. He's just going to come down no matter what because he knows he has that third pit stop to make anyways. If Malarkey is playing the strategy, a two pit stop strategy, staying out there as long as possible, trying to make it to the end on just two pit stops, a late race caution throws that strategy out the window. He'll still come down pit road he'll come down pit road for that third time though. Be assured of that. But right now, I think that's what he's trying to do. We'll see late in the race if Justin Malarkey is able to pull that off, or if that strategy proves to be Malarkey. Marty Rogers in third, up 7 spots. Sid Kashishi in fourth. Dustin Barton up 14 spots in that Hot Wheels car. Riding in fifth. Gary Surgent, 6th. John Campbell, 7th. Jason Benson in 8th. Joe Tucci, 9th. Will Jester in 10th. And that's when we come across Skyler back here in 11th. You see Johnny Bruggs behind him right there. So Skyler actually able to make the pass on Johnny Brugg after Johnny making his green flag pit stop. That's going to set up Skyler Carnes nicely to take over the lead of this race once these 10 drivers in front of him, which right now he's just going to eat these guys up. The 47, he's got to be careful here a little bit. These guys are going to have to communicate. Skyler, the 47, is coming off a pit stop. He's got fresh tires, so he's going to be able to make his way through most of this field, and the ones that he can't catch still have to come down pit road anyway. So right now, Skyler in 9th, but once everybody comes down for these green flag pit stops, he's going to find himself and Johnny Brugg, who's right behind him, sitting 1 and 2. 23 laps to go. Oh, and it's getting sketchy for the 47 car. He's trying to, I think, he's really just trying to keep Johnny Brugg off of him right there. You see some risky driving. We have lap cars, or back markers, if you will, up high. You saw him down low. Skyler, I think, looking for a pick there, trying to keep Johnny caught behind those cars. Really risky move by both those drivers. It pays off for both of them, and here we go. Johnny Brugg on the left corner panel of Skyler Carnes all the way down to the white line. These guys battling it out last week at Bristol, side by side, coming out of turn 4 through the checkered flag, wrecking each other across the checkered flag. Will we have a repeat of that tonight between Johnny Brugg and points leader Skyler Carnes? Now, Johnny Brugg, it's not too big of an advantage, and of course, it really depends on what these drivers are doing with their inputs, if they're saving, you know, Skyler was racing really hard there, right? He wasn't saving any tires. Johnny staying out 2 laps, 3 laps more than Skyler. I know that doesn't seem like it's very big, but it is. Johnny Brugg right now has 3 laps fresher tires than Skyler Carnes, if that makes sense. And right now, Skyler on that 3-lap pit, or that 3 pit stop strategy, 20 laps to go. Again, I think we'll see if this stays green. I think we see Skyler come down with 10 or 11 to go. I think he might stretch it to that 10. We'll see. And we'll definitely check back in with Justin Malarkey, who obviously has come down pit road for his second time We believe he is on a 2 pit stop strategy. So with just 20 laps to go, can Justin Malarkey take this thing to the checkered without having to come down pit road and really avoid that late race caution? That this is not what Malarkey wants. He wants to see green flags for the next 19 laps. Al Corey, nice little recovery here tonight inside the top 10, where I'm sure he'd like to finish this race inside the top 10. But right now, Johnny Bruggs over a second lead on Skyler. You see Skyler trying to make his way past Sarge. He does so successfully on that inside line. Back in third, Ileana Hamilton. He's got John breathing down his neck. That's the race for third. There's a little bit of a gap there with the 99 car, but John certainly catching it. Back with Kendall Kerr in the 30 now. On these long green flag runs, he's pretty much been that third to second car. Kendall finds himself in a little bit of unfamiliar territory, at least in this race, all the way back to 6th. So he's going to have to work his way through some of these cars to try to get back into that podium conversation. And it looked like at one point maybe having a winning car here tonight. So we'll see if Kendall Kerr can bounce back. Right now, currently sitting in 6th. And Kendall coming down pit road, maybe. So I don't know if you guys caught that, but it sounded like to me Kendall is in full fuel saving right now. Let's go into the cockpit. Okay, so right there, he's killing his engine right now. Okay, he's got his foot on the clutch. 17 laps to go. Corner entry. He goes on, he puts his clutch down. It kills all RPMs. He is in full save mode right now. So it looks like Kendall now maybe thinking to himself, hey, best shot I got at winning this race is saving fuel. I don't want to have to come down pit road a third time. So he's saving fuel right now. We'll stick with this through turn 1 here. You can hear the engine go silent. The RPMs drop. There it is. And then coasting through the first half of the corner entry, back out of the throttle, corner exit, back in front, Johnny Bruggs. We'll see if any of these other guys are saving fuel. And it does not seem that way. So I think Johnny, Skyler, maybe, or Skyler, well, both these drivers, I think, are comfortable coming down a third time if that comes down to it. And there's Johnny. So he's coming down now. So Johnny coming down a little bit earlier than Skyler. He's going to come down with just 15 laps to go. It was Skyler, remember, on the first 2 green flag pit stops that was coming down before Johnny Bruggs. And I had assumed we were going to keep it that way, but it's Johnny Bruggs, Ileana Hamilton, John Kriegler, a couple of other drivers coming down with 15 laps to go. And I'm sure we'll see if Skyler sticks. Again, I figured if we did the math right, and it was a very quick math, I figured 10 laps to go at the longest would be Skyler's pit window, possibly that 11th lap, or 11 to go, excuse me. And now he's got to be thinking to himself, okay, did I choose the right strategy? Johnny's been staying out a little bit later than me. Now here Johnny is coming in before me. Out of turn 2, onto the backstretch. He's going to have a little bit of time to decide if now's the time to come down pit road or if he does stick with his original plan. It's been about 22 laps each run before Skyler comes down, which would put it right there at around that 11 laps to go. So we'll see if he sticks to that or if he decides to come down pit road. It looks like he's going to stay out. So I think he's going to hold true to his strategy here tonight. There's Justin Malarkey back in second place. Now he's 16 seconds behind Skyler. But again, he was staying out almost longer than anybody else on these green flag runs. So I think Malarkey, as far as his strategy goes, he's right where he wants to be. He's not going to come down pit road as long as we stay green. We'll see if Kendall Kerr, eventually he's going to have to stop. He's dedicated now. He's lost so much time trying to save fuel, and he still is. But there's only so long you can do this before you realize, or you're losing so much time regardless of not having to come down pit road or not. So we'll see just how long that this strategy lasts with Kendall Kerr before he's back out of that throttle as normal. Now, again, take a look at that track map. We've been pretty spread out throughout the race, and with just 10 laps to go, look how the majority of that field has really started to close in as the majority of the drivers are out of turn 4 onto the front stretch. That's something to keep your eye on. If they were to have stayed stretched out like what we saw previously, I think we could have been green flag. Now that they're all bunched up, it's later in the race, 10 laps to go. We'll see if we get our second caution of the night. So here is Justin Malarkey. Again, 10 laps to go. Playing the 2 pit stop strategy. He's got Kyle Gretsch behind him. I'm not sure if Kyle's on that same strategy or not. I don't think so. Malarkey really was extending that pit window, coming down only when his spotter told him that he was about to run out of fuel. So it's going to be interesting to see. And again, I don't know where Kyle is on the strategies right now. If he's on the same strategy as Malarkey, is he going for the win here? Are these guys going to battle it out? Sid Kashishian in third. Johnny Bruggs, though, up to fourth. But again, he came in on lap 15. So his third and final pit stop, as long as we stay green, that's over with. He's got the fresh tires. Justin Malarkey will not. Right now, though, Johnny Bruggs almost 18 seconds behind Justin Malarkey. Is 9 laps enough to be able to get 2 seconds per lap on Justin Malarkey? Kendall Kerr in 6th. So, again, Kendall, we were on board with him. He was saving fuel. He was on the clutch. Well, guess what? Johnny Bruggs already made the pass onto Kendall Kerr. So we know at least right now where we stand. If this goes green to the end, Kendall Kerr's strategy of trying to save fuel is not going to work out as far as winning this race. And of course, behind him, guess what? The 47 car, Skyler Carnes, he's done his pit stop. He's got fresh tires. He's got fuel to save or fuel to make it to the end of this race. So I think that had to have been a mid-race strategy by Kendall Kerr to stay out and not come down the third and final time, deciding to get out of the clutch and save some fuel, but he really just ended up hurting himself. I think in order to do what he wanted to accomplish, there was so many laps that he had to do that on that it really didn't gain an advantage right there. In fact, I think it's really going to hurt Kendall Kerr in the end. Time will tell, though. Justin Malarkey's got Kyle Gretsch behind him. A little bit of a gap between those guys. Coming up on 5 laps to go. Next time around, race leader Justin Malarkey out of turn 2 onto the backstretch. And he will be grinning ear to ear if I don't want to say steals this race. I mean, an awesome strategy by Malarkey in the 97 car, but he will be grinning ear to ear, patting himself on the back. And for good reason. 6 laps to go. Johnny Brugg, 15. That's what I want to see. He's about 14 seconds, I think, off of Justin Malarkey right now. So in the last 4 laps, he's only been able to make up 4 seconds. He needed 2 seconds a lap. We'll see Justin Malarkey as his tires continue to wear. If Johnny can make a little bit more time, right there at about 13.6 seconds back. Again, he needs about 2 seconds a lap, or he did. Now he needs even more. Needs about 6. Four laps to go as Justin Malarkey crosses that front stretch right there. He's got Kyle Gretsch back in second. Kyle in the Napa 7 in second place. Sid Kashishian looking for a podium here in third. He's about 6.5 seconds on Johnny Brugg. Skylar Carnes has made his way back up to 5th. But right now, I think the strategy of Justin Malarkey is going to pay off. He's still 12.5 seconds in front of Johnny Brugg. So with just 3 laps to go this time around, as Justin Malarkey makes his way across that front stretch. And I think Justin Malarkey setting himself up in the SCP redacted 150 with just a 2 pit stop strategy is going to walk out of here with a win. I don't want to jinx that, but it looks like he's setting himself up, unless if Kyle Gretsch can pull out some pace here. Over a half second behind Justin Malarkey when we get back to Sid Kashishian. He is about 7 seconds off Justin Malarkey, but 5 seconds above Johnny Brugg. So Malarkey, Kyle, Sid really stretching this out to the end. All looking for podiums. All eyes are on Johnny Brugg, Skylar Carnes. And unfortunately, Kendall Kerr with his strategy just back there in 16th. All eyes on those 3 drivers for the majority of this race. And now here, coming out of turn 4 onto the front stretch, Justin Malarkey gonna take the white flag. If he could just hold it together there, it looks like he does have a little bit of some back markers in front of him. You see the 2 cars right there. One of them, I think, being Kendall Kerr, believe it or not. So he's going to have to maybe make his way around these. You see that car way down on the inside. Yep, that is Kendall Kerr. So his strategy of saving fuel is just devastating to the end of his race. You see Kyle Gretsch down onto the backstretch. He's looking for the P2. Sid Kashishian still about 4 seconds in front of Johnny Bruggs as he makes his way down into turn 3. But right now, it's the 97 car of Justin Malarkey on the 2 pit stop strategy, winning the SCP redacted 150. Kyle Gretsch second. Sid Kashishian crossing the line in third. Johnny Brugg in 4th, Skylar Carnes in 5th, Ileana Hamilton with a strong finish there in 6th, Dustin Barton up 11 spots, started 19th. He's going to be inside the top 10 there in 8th. Gary, Matt Puricini, your top 10 drivers of the night. Jason Benson back there in the Stay Puft 42 machine. John Campbell in 12th. I can't believe that worked. An amazing strategy brought out by Justin Malarkey, Kyle Gretsch, and Sid Kashishian. to take the win and the podium spots from Johnny Brugg and Skylar Carnes as we check in with the 97 car on victory lane there. And just a phenomenal strategy, an awesome race through and through. We had one early caution, I think on lap 6. We had green flags all the way to the end. And just an awesome race by everybody. I cannot believe Justin Malarkey pulling it out. Kyle Gretsch, Sid Kashishian as well. All three of those drivers taking the risk, coming down pit road only twice. While all other drivers, we saw Skylar with the early pit stop strategy, having to come down 3 times. It was these 3 drivers on the podium doing the late pit stops, only having to come down twice. And that ultimately is what decided today's podium. Sid Kashishian, your third place driver tonight in the 19 car. Sid, I believe all podium drivers here were on that 2 pit stop strategy. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were, talk to me a little bit about that risk and just how great it feels that it paid off and you're walking out of here with the podium.
Oh yeah, I think most of us pitted on lap 5, and it was enough to get it down to 2 more stops, and I had Johnny coming up quick on me. He cut down like a 8-9 second gap down to 3 seconds almost by the end, but I'm just glad I didn't run out of fuel.
Yeah, didn't run out of fuel. Didn't get any, we didn't see any late race cautions there. I think by the time, because we were so green for so long, it really separated the field. A lot of single file driving out there, which of course for the guys up front, such as yourself, is what you want. And yeah, maybe a couple of more laps there. If this was an 80 lap race, maybe Johnny Brugg makes that interesting for the podium, but it wasn't. It was 75 laps. Sid Kashishian, an awesome drive here tonight, walking away with third place. Good job, man.
Thank you. Everyone have a good night.
That was Sid Kashishian, of course. All post-race interviews and post-race being brought to you by McConey Setup Shops. If you're looking for a setup, they offer subscriptions, coaching, and one-time setups. Use code FADEDTV for 15% off your next setup at checkout. So shout out to Jeff McConey and McConey Setup Shops, doing a lot of work with some professional drivers in the Coca-Cola Series, short track setups, road racing setups, and of course the big boys A, B, and C class setups being brought to you by McConey Setup Shop. Up next, Kyle Gretsch pitting on lap 5, I believe. Kyle, so you were one of those early guys coming down pit road, only having to come down 2 more times. Everybody else having to come down 3. You hold on to a second place. It looked like Malarkey was just on a roll. I wasn't too sure if you were going to be able to catch him or if maybe you felt comfortable in second, and why burn the tires and risk, ruining a podium finish. But either way, a second place, an impressive run here tonight. Talk to us a little bit about your run here at Michigan.
Yeah, that early caution came out, and I saw that as an opportunity to pit and just kind of get that window down, because we were at a 25, 25, 25 for pits with stretching fuel, but with that early pit stop, it just cut out one of the pit stops. So, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
With Justin there, I got a really good entry into pit road, got a really good exit off, and what happened there is coming off pit road and realizing that we were actually battling for the win, I kind of got a little over aggressive there and just burned my right fronts off.
Well, when you're racing up front, I mean, it's go time, right? So definitely understandable there. Taking home a P2, we're a little bit over halfway through the season here. It's got to feel good, especially after coming off of a Laguna Seca track and a Bristol track. Both of those races, you got to keep your expectations to where anything can happen. But I think coming back to a track like Michigan, the Legacy, it's a little bit more of a controlled environment, if you will. You know what to expect a little bit more. Coming home with a P2. Kyle, great run here tonight. Congrats.
Thank you, and congrats to Justin for holding me off there.
All righty. Speaking of Justin, let's bring in Justin Malarkey here, your race winner in the 97. Justin, it came to our attention on the second green flag pit stop. You were the driver, really extending your fuel usage, making sure that you didn't come down pit road until you absolutely had to. You knew, Johnny Brugg, Kendall Kerr, unfortunately, tried saving fuel on that last run. It didn't work out. But Skyler, those guys coming down pit road right at the beginning of the pit window, did you ever question your strategy to stay out and not come in for a third time? Well, it looks like Justin might be AFK.
Hey, Faded, how's it going, buddy? Sarge.
Hey, Sarge, how are you?
Yeah, Justin's having a little trouble getting the settings going on his Discord to be able to chat. So I was trying to work it out with him.
Okay.
So I've got him in the sim right now. He says thank you. Sorry he can't chat. Yeah, we're trying to get it worked out.
Well, either way, a great race for him. Hopefully he figures it out before we get out of here, because that was just a phenomenal strategy by Justin Malarkey, being able to pull off that race, taking a lot of nerve there. Now, I'm glad you're in here with us, Sarge, because I hear it's somebody's birthday tonight.
Yes, it is.
So happy birthday to the head of No Toad Racing League, Gary Sargent, I believe is how you say your last name, right?
Sargent. That's where the Sarge
it is.
comes from.
Okay. Understood. In the 28 car, he was out there with that ugly Jacksonville Jaguar paint scheme. But happy birthday to you, Sarge. Thanks for everything that you do with the guys at No Toad Racing League. Shout out to you for having me here on Sunday nights. It's been a blast throughout the season, so hopefully you enjoyed your Sunday night as well.
Well, hey, I got a top 10, and with these guys, I mean, the level of skill we got in this league right now, that's the best I can hope for. My hat's off to these guys going green. We only had, one caution, I think. Me and the 94 car got a little together, got pinched into the wall a bit. Otherwise, it was a great run.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of that only caution, you were the one involved in it, so, if it wasn't for that, we could have seen all green flags here tonight, so... but no, not your fault. We dissected that on the track, and I think sometimes, people think they're clear and they're not. And it's just a racing deal, right? And after that, we saw a ton of green flag racing. So I don't think we're going to get Justin Malarkey to finish up. But for you guys that might have missed that, Sarge said that he talked to him in-game, in-sim chat, wanted to thank everybody watching. And Justin, if you're listening to the stream, heck of a job here. Way to stick it to the end, and a really, really good win as we move these guys out of the booth. That's going to wrap up our coverage for tonight. I appreciate everybody here between Twitch and YouTube. I think we were sitting somewhere around a healthy 40 viewers all night long, so really good crowd here tonight. Hats off to SCP VRC for sponsoring the Redacted 150. Thank you to sponsors Precision Graphics. Use code FADEDTV for 10% off your next paint scheme. Maconi Setup Shops. Use code FADEDTV for 15% off your next open setup. We appreciate you being here. We'll see you next Sunday for No Toads Racing League. If you want to see more leagues, head over onto twitch.com. We do broadcast every Monday night, every Tuesday night. We have an Xfinity League on Mondays and a Next Gen Cup Series on Tuesdays. The Monday League's actually kicking off tomorrow. We'll be at Daytona, and the Tuesday Leagues are kicking off the playoffs. So if you don't want to miss that, head on over to twitch.com, Faded TV. Check us out. Look for the logo that's on the bottom left of your screen. Drop us a follow. Turn on notifications. Hopefully we'll see you in there. If not, we'll see you next time here next Sunday. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll catch you next time.